There is no stopping the Titans in this year's IPL. Doesn't matter if Shubman Gill doesn't get the runs. Doesn't matter if Hardik Pandya doesn't get the runs. Tewatia and David Miller, not for the first time this season, 79 of 40 to take the Titans home with plenty to spare. I mean, it only looked like one-way traffic once these two got it going. Once Rahul Tewatia survived an LBW reprieve, it was no looking back from there. RCB don't have the answers. They've now lost 3 on the trot. And the Titans have the best ever start by any team in an IPL. They've won 8 out of 9. Incredible for Hardik Pandya, incredible for a new franchise. So we shall look back at that game, look ahead very quickly to Mumbai Rajasthan 2 on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by IQ 95G. We'll hear from Ben Cutting in a moment. First up, Dan Vettori. An invincibility, an inevitability about Gujarat in chases now. Dan.
And that almost that complete performance they were looking for. I know there was a bit of a stumble through those middle stages, but there's a confidence and almost a reliance on Miller and Tewatia because they've done it enough now to think that they can do it any time. And the way that they actually chased down those final 70 runs, there's so much composure. They looked like they had a game plan to attack Harshal Patel in terms of they knew what to do. They took on Hazelwood. It was fantastic to watch from the two of them.
Do they create mistakes out of bowling? Because we saw a very good bowling lineup today, unable to defend what we thought they should have made a better fight out of with the kind of form Patel, Siraj, Hazelwood were all in. Yeah,
and it looked like they'd done enough early on to get to that. But as we've learnt, to beat Gujarat, you're going to have to get through these two left-handers and Rashid Khan because of how good they've been at the back end of the batting innings. I do think they're probably installing some fear, particularly Tewatia. I mean, he started charging today to Harshal Patel. I thought that was a good option. He's obviously always got the pickup over the leg side, but the bowlers have to be inch point in the execution, otherwise he just takes them down.
This looked like it could have been the banana skin game, Ben, that you were talking about. But it looks like Tewatia has just taken the ability to close games to another level, fair to say?
That's right. At 4 for 95, I think in the 12th over, I thought that was, it could have been an early night from there on in. But, they've got that air of confidence about them, those last couple of guys, Miller, Tewatia, Rashid to follow, because they've done it quite a few times now. They know they can keep doing it. And once they get on the roll, they're tough to stop. Obviously played very, very well. Didn't think there was some great bowling, some great options towards the back end there. Harshal kept going slow and wide to Tewatia, and when he did that, he couldn't hit the ball. But as soon as they came straight, it disappeared out of the park.
At what point do you see a change in a batter, Ben, especially someone playing that finisher sort of role, where we have identified Tewatia as someone who favours or fancies the leg side, therefore there's a way to bowl to him. Now we see him stepping out to Harshal Patel, hitting him over 6, over cover. We're seeing him pierce the gap between mid-off and cover, eventually finishing the game like that. There's something that's changed, I guess, as a result of those previous games that he's seen off?
Yeah, definitely. He's certainly making changes, and it looks like he's well prepared. And for each game, knowing that Harshal always goes to his slower ball and what length it's going to be at, so he can step out and collect it if he needs to. When you bowl into someone like that, he's quite short in stature, so he's got short arms. So I would look to keep taking the pace off and keep it wide of him. If he hits you over point, hits you over cover from a slower ball from wide of the line, good luck to him. But as soon as you come straight, it's bread and butter, as we saw the other night as well.
Is it just a confidence thing?
I think so. And it won't be just him, it'll be the whole team. And there'll be a confidence from the coaching staff and captain to Tewatia and Miller that you guys are our men. We're going to leave you in those spots and we're going to trust you to win these big moments. And they've been rewarded from the performance. I think it must be satisfying for David Miller as well, because he's had probably a couple of years of downtime within the IPL. His time at Rajasthan probably wasn't as successful as he would have liked. So to go to a new franchise and to go back to that closing role and feel like he's a huge contributor, because he's one of the good guys of cricket. So it's nice to see him performing again.
We've now seen the surface for about 40 overs or so. How critical of the RCB bowling, or shall we go back and say they should have had about 15-20 more to play with?
I think they should have more to play with, because I look at the way that the commentators spoke about the Shubman Gill innings. They were starting to get on top of him, that his strike rate was too low, and they needed to get cracking, and he got a free hit, the 6, very fortunate, and I think he struck at 100. He may have
110.
110. So the commentators are critical of him. They weren't so critical of Kohli, and he played a similar sort of innings. So I don't think at any stage can you strike at that level. I think you need to be around the 120, 130. And you can say, well, you make it up at the back end, but then you see the likes of Tawadia and Miller, and what they did tonight to be able to strike from ball one to set up a win.
So you think Kohli looking for some form, that sort of innings in hindsight now has cost them with 19 dot balls, I think is what I've counted, strike rate of 109?
The only thing I'd say to counter that is you look at the partnership with Parida and you say that was he getting the strike from him? Was that the part of the intent? He took on a Lockie Ferguson over. But in the end, I suppose you've got to look at that score and say that you would like him to strike at a higher rate. But it also could be that catalyst that we talked about, balls in the middle, and that could be the start of some form for him.
I mean, is it different when the player is Virat Kohli, Ben? When you think, okay, if he's got a 50 today, even if it's come at 110, it'll help us going forward? Or do you say, no, that's possibly an innings that's cost us 2 points today?
Look, probably a little bit of both. You're obviously happy that he spent time in the middle. He didn't get castled for a duck or under 10 again. But there's still that sweet spot of, taking the game on and upping the scoring rate for the team, for the betterment of the team, and dragging those guys around you with you. He's going to be better for the run and better for spending time in the middle. Looking back on his innings, I think he's probably moving a little bit too much, certainly moving more than he usually does when he's in good form. And that can happen from time to time with batters. If you feel like you're struggling, you can't play your natural shots or your natural game. You try and fabricate something that isn't really in your repertoire. And that's probably how he got out today as well, to be fair, when he was backing off the line and got bowled.
We're just going to look at the points table, and it'll tell you that Gujarat Titans have had this incredible start to the season. 8 wins out of 9 is something no team's managed, certainly not a team in their first year in the IPL. And RCB, on the other hand, now stick at 10 points in 10. Delhi have the chance to go above them. Punjab could do one on them too. Would you be worried for RCB, or was this a better game for them?
I suppose I'm not worried when I look at that table and the fact that they can still control their own destiny. There's probably a few teams down the bottom there that can't catch them, and they know that they do actually have the players to perform. So I still believe they have a team and a squad that can win games, particularly because of that bowling unit, and they maybe have had a slight off night tonight, but more often than not they're fairly consistent, and they just need that batting group to step up.
How does that toss decision look for you now, Katsi, at the end of the game, winning the toss and batting first?
Who won the toss again?
RCB, winning the toss and batting first. Morning, Katsi.
Yeah. No, you're right. I still would have stuck with it, to be fair, given a day game. I wouldn't have taken, you don't need to worry about the dew or chasing under lights there, really, because it's just too early in the evening. I think, particularly when it's so hot there, you can cook teams by batting first and putting them in the field and hoping that if they are gassed after spending that time out there, that they make poor decisions with the bat come fatigue time. And to be fair, at 4 for 95, they probably should have won the game from there, RCB.
Okay, we've seen that happen before when teams have come up against the Gujarat Titans. On the other hand, what does it say about the Titans now? Even if they make a couple of changes, a Sangwan comes in and gets you 4 over spell for less than 5, gets a couple of big wickets too. Everything seems to be working for this franchise. Tells you something?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I think in these situations when a team's going so well, traditionally it's the big name players who do stand up. And you would say that Rashid Khan's had a reasonable tournament. Hardik Pandya's obviously had a great tournament, but they've had so many little complementary performances along the way. Dayal has been very good up until his injury. Pradeep Sangwan comes in today and does a good job. I even thought the little cameo from him, he brought some intensity and some aggressiveness. Saha has done his role, has performed his role. So what they are is a team. And if you look back on a lot of IPL successes, it's normally 1 or 2 guys who can get you through. But at the moment, it's Gujarat as a team getting you through, and that must be so satisfying.
It is indeed. If you're a Gujarat Titans fan, you sit pretty at the top of the table, and everyone else is just playing catch-up. That top 2 spot almost seems a guarantee now. Of course, there are no guarantees, it's still a long season, but you think the Titans are going to be hard to stop with the kind of role they've gotten on. If there is one team that could challenge them, It is the Rajasthan Royals. They're in action against the Mumbai Indians. Game's already underway, so we'll just get a quick couple of comments on the teams from both Ben Cutting and Dan Vettori. I'll just say this twice for you, Ben, that Mumbai Indians have won the toss. They're going to be bowling. So, yeah.
I got it on in front of me.
Good man, good man. Two of your former franchises. Let's have a look at the Mumbai team. Curiosity on whether changes will be made as they look to next season. I read something on Twitter which says mathematically they have a 0.005% chance of qualifying. So we'll put that in the bin for the time being. Tim David is back. Welcome back, Tim David. Two games in the start of the season and didn't get a look in after. And the man making waves, actually, Devil Brevis, just a day after he turns 19, finds himself out of his side. Kumar Karthikeya was a replacement player for Mohammad Arshad Khan, left-arm spinner from Madhya Pradesh, gets a game pretty soon after being drafted into this team. So Mumbai have won the toss in this, which would be their 9th game on Rohit Sharma's 35th birthday. Let's see if that changes things for them. The Tim David selection. Thoughts, Dan?
Brevis must have had a big night celebrating his birthday, so they had to replace him. I think we've been calling for David to come back in, mainly because they spent so much money at auction, and to only give him the opportunity after 2 games was surprising. And if you look at him as a player, he's been incredibly successful around the world in franchise cricket, so I think he deserves an opportunity. Depends where he bats. I think that'll be the interesting thing to see where they feel he can be of the most value.
I'd like to point out that in our part of the world, hard liquor is only after 25. So Devil Brevis is 19. Maybe a lot of juice or fruit, whatever. But Ben Cutting, would it be fair to say Mumbai already looking at next year, maybe the future, and they've seen enough of Devil Brevis, so he's probably a shoe-in. Let's see what Tim David's got.
Look, knowing Mumbai, they're definitely looking towards the future. They got one eye on next year and giving guys a go and seeing what they can do and put on the park, towards the back end of the tournament. In saying that, Tim David, they spent so much money for him now and they played him 2 games. They've got to get him back out there and give him some games under his belt. And when I look at the lineup now, it looks strong. It looks like a very powerful middle order if the boys get going. But one thing I would do, I'd make sure that Tim David, Kieran Pollard, and Daniel Sams don't all bat one after the other, because it makes it very easy for the subcontinent spinners to rip through them if that's the case.
And there are 2 good spinners in this Rajasthan lineup. It looks a stronger batting unit, without doubt, Dan. But what about the bowling? You've got 2 uncapped Indian spinners now in Shokeen and Karthikeya, Bumrah, but of course, and Riley Meredith and Daniel Sams is the overseas. So that call to play a spinner in place of Jaidev Unadkat, does that tell us maybe what Rohit reads of this surface?
Potentially, and it's probably a look to the future and also probably a reflection on Unadkat's performances so far.
Sure.
So they want to give a different look probably at the death. You might see Riley Meredith back there and obviously Jasprit Bumrah. So I'm looking forward to seeing Rithik bowl again. I've been impressed from the small amounts that I've seen. But like everyone keeps saying, this is a push towards the future. This is a push towards retention for next year and to see who Mumbai keeps and leaves behind.
Player number 19 for the Mumbai Indians. I think that should be the most for any player this season. They've gone and I think KKR have got the same number now after the changes they made in the last game. So yeah, otherwise they've gone through season winning it by playing 13 or 12 players or something like that. Rajasthan Royals are unchanged. They wouldn't want to make too many changes. They're winning, but Daryl Mitchell gets another game. So too Kuldeep Sen, which is understandable given the impact he had in that last game. No surprises there. I'm guessing this team remains red-hot favourites to win this in spite of losing a toss. They seem to do fine losing tosses and batting first.
I think so. I mean, it does look a good team. The interest for us will be around their batting order, and depending on whether they use Ashwin up the order again or they may use the Sanju or Daryl Mitchell. But I suppose the opening partnership will dictate that and how far and how deep they get into the game.
First over's already done. Bumrah's got ball in hand now. So let's get a quick prediction from Ben Cutting on 2 fronts. Let's see if anything funky expected today, Katsi, from Rajasthan, Ashwin at 3 or anybody else coming up the order. And what are they going to get at DY Patil?
Oh, you never know from Rajasthan, to be fair, but they are playing well. I hope they just leave the order as is, as listed. Keep it simple. Leave Ashwin down the bottom. He can do it. He can do a fine job down there. But I'm predicting 175 total. Rajasthan to win. Mumbai to continue struggling for a little bit, unfortunately.
Oh, that'll be 9. I don't think that's ever happened. Oh, that'll be joining a record, I think, of 9 consecutive losses. What do you make of this game? Prediction for a score?
175, I think it's all dependent on Butler. But if Butler goes crazy, then he can take them anywhere. But I think 175, if they get to that, they can defend with their strong bowling lineup.
Okay, all right. Let's see if that does happen. Thank you to Dan Vettori and Ben Cutting. More from them at halftime at the completion of the Rajasthan Royals innings. Join us then on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by IQ 95G.